gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
A very tense exchange as Ukraine's president meets with President Trump at the White House. And an update on a local shelter puppy who got a life-saving surgery. Find out what's next for Legend.
Covering news where you live. This is 5 News First at 4.
And thanks for joining us for your 5 News First at 4. I'm Darren Bobb. The weekend is upon us. Josh was now in with us with the weekend forecast. We're going to start with today. How can you beat today?
Yeah, and today was an interesting day. It was definitely a fantastic day in terms of those temperatures, but you may have been feeling this wind all day. In fact, you can see with our poto camera, just a little bit of haze off in the distance. I'm sure that wind is kicking up some of the dust or some of that lingering smoke from some of those controlled burns yesterday. But the wind is actually helping us get a little bit in terms of warmer with those temperatures. So the good news is that south wind, while it is annoying, well, you know, it's not going to be creating issues for those temperatures. The issues that we run into is with the dry conditions and the winds up to 30, we have a red flag warning, and that's because if a fire does start, it could spread rapidly. So red flag warning for a large portion of the area, mostly to the north of I-40. Those winds right now, anywhere between the teens to the 20s across the area, so this will continue for the next several hours. But once we get past sunset, those winds will start to calm down across the area. Temperatures across the area, we're currently in the 70s across northwest Arkansas, upper 70s in Fort Smith, no to 77. So it's a nice warm day across the area. We do have some things to talk about. It's going to be cooler tomorrow, and we're also talking a pattern change coming overnight Sunday into Monday, and then storm chances on Tuesday. I'll have more on that coming up in just a little bit.
All right, Joshua, thanks. New at 4, a 16-year-old in Fort Smith now knows how long he'll spend behind bars after pleading guilty to shooting and killing another teen in 2023. Connor Castillo was sentenced today in the killing of 15-year-old Bailey Smith. A 12-year-old was also injured in the shooting that happened on North 36th Street. Fort Smith police say that Castillo was involved in a fight with other teenagers when he pulled out a gun and started firing. Castillo got a 30-year prison term for murder and 10 years for battery. Washington County is celebrating a construction milestone on its new Emergency Operations Center. County leaders watched as construction crews attached the highest beam on the building. They say it's a big moment for public safety and disaster preparedness. The building will be a command center, organizing information and helping coordinate local agencies and their resources during any disaster. County Judge Patrick Deacon says the building is built to withstand severe storms and tornadoes.
It's a promise to our neighbors and our families that we can respond swiftly and effectively to everything that will come to our door. We can never dictate or promise what the Lord will bring us, what dark days that might come, what unpredictable weather might do. But we can definitely promise that we can stand ready and be ready when that time calls upon us.
That project, by the way, expected to be complete later this fall. A small fire at a Farmington elementary school this morning. The district said on Facebook it happened on the roof at Jerry Pop Williams Elementary. A new roof is being built there. It's being installed, and the fire is related to that installation. The district says all students were safely evacuated and students were released from school at 12:30 because of water damage in a back hallway. Some very tense moments in the Oval Office today as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy meets with President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. Zelenskyy came to the U.S. looking to make a deal. As Erica Brown reports, President Trump had been pressing for an agreement giving the U.S. access to profits from Ukraine's earth minerals as part of a path to end the war with Russia.
Tensions spilled over in the Oval Office between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy during a meeting that was supposed to be about ending Russia's war with Ukraine.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
The conversation turned contentious as Zelenskyy questioned Vice President Vance about Russia honoring any deal.
What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean? I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
President Trump stepped in, telling Zelenskyy America saved Ukraine.
If you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days. This is something
maybe
new.
Less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
Again,
I tell you.
Just say thank you.
The White House says Ukraine has been difficult to negotiate with for some time.
I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go, and I wanted this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
A scheduled news conference with the two leaders was scrapped, and Zelenskyy left with neither side signing a mineral rights agreement. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
After leaving the White House, President Zelenskyy posted on social media thanking the American people and the president for supporting Ukraine, adding that his country needs a just and lasting peace. A health setback for Pope Francis today. The Vatican reporting that the pontiff suffered from a sudden lung spasm, and that spasm led to vomiting. The pontiff inhaled some stomach acid, which required doctors to intervene and aspirate his lungs. However, Vatican sources say it's not as serious as that prolonged respiratory crisis that he suffered on Saturday, which required high-flow oxygen and blood transfusions. Vatican sources also say we won't know for certain for another 24 to 48 hours exactly how serious the medical picture really is. More measles cases showing up in different parts of the country after the now deadly outbreak in Texas. Latest CDC data shows 57 measles cases in just a week. That is the highest weekly tally reported since the record outbreak in 2019. One unvaccinated child has died from the Texas outbreak, the first U.S. measles death in a decade. An adult in Kentucky, a baby in Washington State, and an infant arriving on a flight in Southern California each had recently traveled overseas. Same for the person in New Jersey who then spread measles to two others, all of them unvaccinated.
This was declared eradicated from the continental United States. However, we do still see sporadic cases and travelers who bring it back.
The MMR vaccine, measles, mumps, and rubella, has been a game changer since being introduced in the 1960s. But according to CDC data, in 2023, measles vaccination rates for kindergartners were below 95%. That's the threshold for herd immunity. The virus is airborne and spreads quickly when an affected person breathes, sneezes, or coughs. Tonight, we have an update on a story we first brought you in January. A puppy in Poto named Legend had a big fight ahead of him and needed life-saving surgery, and time was running out. Well, thanks to an outpouring of support, Legend got a second chance at life. 5 News reporter Morgan Wrigley has an update on his recovery.
Today, Legend is full of energy, a complete turnaround from where he started. Just weeks ago, he was struggling to survive, suffering from a rare heart defect. On Christmas Eve, Legend's symptoms were getting worse, and caretakers at the Poto Valley Humane Society rushed him to the hospital. There they were told that Legend would never live to his full potential, and it would be best to euthanize him. But the team at the shelter refused to give up. They launched a fundraising campaign to get him to specialists in Colorado for his one chance at life, a rare surgery with a huge cost, and the community answered the call. Thanks to their donations, Legend was able to travel to Colorado, where a specialist placed a stent in his heart, restoring his blood flow. And now, just weeks later, he's not only recovered, he's thriving.
When you do rescue, you always try not to get too attached because there's always that possibility. But it wasn't right to put him down, and we all could tell. Hospitals wanted him because they wanted to, quote, practice on him because it's so rare. They see maybe 2 a year. So he did great, and all the girls up there loved him.
Now Legend is a happy, playful puppy expected to live a completely normal life. And with a clean bill of health, he's ready for his next big milestone, finding a forever home. If you're interested in adopting him, you can apply through the Poto Valley Humane Society's website. Morgan Wrigley, 5 News.